All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over more hip shifting or shifting in the bottom of our squat on the way down or on the way up. And obviously there's an imbalance there. So last week we did a video where I told you how we can open up and externally rotate that hip to kind of isolate one side. And I gave you a test on how to do that so by laying on the ground and testing from side to side and which side is the tighter one. But we also have to get the hips to move independently front to back. So we like to describe, I guess, the hip as like a X, Y, and Z axis. It moves front to back. It can move side to side, right? And then it also can move as a hinge too. So we have three different ways that hip can move, and we want to make sure that we've kind of unglued and looked for all those areas that we can improve upon, and then we can fix the shifting to the strong side or an injured side or the area that your body is can't get the range of motion into, okay? So the very first one we're going to do today is almost like a hip reset on the wall, okay? And then in this position, my feet are firmly planted on the ground at a 90-degree angle here and then straight up and down here, okay? So it's thinking about kind of being in the bottom of that squat or right at parallel. I want to kind of anchor my hands. We're then going to do a little bit of a glute bridge, and we only want to come up off the ground about 2 to 3 inches, all right? So from here, we're going to do where I sink. I'm thinking about sinking the hip straight down, and this side I want to keep up, okay? And then we're going to switch. And you can see on my right side, this side, it's a little bit easier for me to drive this hip down towards the ground, okay? And then on this side, where I have my restriction, I have a little bit harder of a time being able to drive that hip down, okay? So usually we'll do about 10 reps on each side, okay? Really focusing on driving that hip back. And that will obviously give you some feedback. You'll notice on one side it's easier, like I showed on my right, and then on my left side it's a little bit trickier. Our second one we're going to do is this front to back motion. So we're going to need a roller for this one, back on the wall. We're going to keep our feet at that 90 degrees, so straight up here, feet firmly planted on the ground, and then a 90-degree angle here. And then for here, we want to just kind of support your head. Now, really think about planting this bottom foot, so really push into the wall on that one, and the roller's between your knees. What you're trying to do is take this knee and drive it back into the hip socket. So I'm trying to pull this roller in towards my hip without moving that bottom one, and then push it away. So I'm pulling it and dragging it in, and then I'm pushing it out. So it's all isolating that top hip for this front to back motion, okay? And I would do 10 reps on each, so really keep that bottom foot planted. This knee should not move at all. This is the only one that I'm moving, and I'm thinking about pulling that roller into the hip, okay? So 10 reps on each side, and that should help you identify again which one is tight, which one needs some work, okay? So couple this with last week's video that we did where we take the barbell and twist open to open up the hip and making sure we're getting that external rotation. And then here is going to unglue and make sure that we can get those smaller muscles to be firing. Now the next video here I'm going to show you is how we can bias that squat shift and help our brain mechanically get out of that fault. So we'll see you guys next week for that one. Stay tuned. Remember, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. And give us a thumbs up and comment below with any issues you're dealing with in your mobility or your squats. Love to hear it. Maybe send you some tips if I can. And we'll see you guys next week.